The East leads in the series 21-11. They have won the last 3, including a thriller at the Meadowlands in New Jersey last year, 120-118. Moses Malone, member of the West team last year when he was with the Houston Rockets, now at the East, and of course the doctor. He is a fixture in the All-Star game. Julius Erving and Larry Bird. You're not going to see that any place but in this All-Star game, shaking hands going on the court with Isaiah Thomas. They worked out yesterday, Bill, and they all were having a good time, but that doesn't mean they're not going to play hard.
Well, you know, when they say have a good time, that doesn't mean goofing off. When this having a good time is playing well. You know, and as this game starts, usually in All-Star games, everyone is very polite to the other guys. So no one wants to be the first guy that goes out there and throws it up. And so we'll see who will be the first player that will act rude.
We have our honorary captains, something that the NBA has instituted, and they're coming out now for the ceremonial toss. For the East squad, John Havlicek, 16 years with the Celtics, and Elgin Baylor, 14 years with the Lakers, played with them in Minneapolis and Los Angeles, and Havlicek with his back towards you. 13 straight All-Star games, a record. Hondo and Elgin Baylor, 2 of the greats, the honorary captains for this 33rd All-Star game. And so now we're ready. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar will jump center against Moses Malone. And the tip is controlled by the West. And there's the Magic Man. Great passer, team leader of the Lakers, throws that one away.
You say great passer.
We're going to see it.
Hey, are you going to put bad luck on them?
I do usually when they're on the free throw line, not when they're passing. So Julius Erving and Larry Bird are the forwards. Bird is outside, guarded by Lucas. Isaiah Thomas with the first shot of the game. Isaiah Thomas, a raw rookie last year. Earlier on CBS Sports Sunday, talked about how he threw up an air ball from the free throw line. Thomas has emerged as a fine point guard. Now Lucas turn around over Larry Bird hit. Maurice Lucas, a great story going from the Knicks to Phoenix for Truck Robinson and really turning Phoenix into a strong team. The Doc inside. What a move quickly.
Well, you know, the difference in the All-Star games are guys are called on to do different things than they normally do. Like Isaiah Thomas does most of the feeding. And as it is, he may end up getting a lot of open shots because he doesn't have to do the same thing for this team that he does for the Pistons, for example.
They've got 2 point guards or playmaking guards in Cheeks and Thomas. And, of course, we may not see both of them in there together long. Larry Bird into Moses Malone. There's a pairing. They could meet in the championship this year. Larry Bird with a fine drive down the middle. MVP last year. Bird trying to save it, and here come to the East. The Doc in open court. Cheeks. Goaltending charge against David Thompson. And Larry Bird picking up where he left off.
Just an example of the kind of players you have in this game. These guys, this is the first player, he's up in the stands. Because they want to beat each other.
David Thompson missing outside. Here's Julius Erving, outlet to Bird. Picked up quickly by Thompson. Into Moses Malone. Still East ball. You'll see in Moses Malone, who was the MVP in the league last year, the relentless offensive rebounder. He'll tip in missed shots. He is the best offensive rebounder in the game's history, perhaps. Isaiah Thomas feeding Bird. Kareem kept it alive, but Erving. Julius's foul going in, and we're seeing his repertoire early here.
I think he was a bit serious about that one. He knew the big guy was going to be there when he got there.
Foul is on Kareem, his first personal foul, and Julius Erving going to the line. Top vote getter, over 700,000 votes, 11th in scoring in the league. 12 years an All-Star, first 5 in the ABA. Never won a title, though, in the NBA, and that's something he might do this year.
I think they expect to.
You never know when you get to the playoffs, though, and the best 4 out of 7. So the East has moved out to an 8-point lead. As Bill Russell said, the defense and the physical aspects paying off. Inside, David Thompson. Thompson may feel he has something to prove. A lot of people think that perhaps he didn't deserve the fans' vote. Good drive by Isaiah Thomas, penetrating nicely. So the second-year player from the Detroit Pistons comes back. Look at Magic Johnson. It counts in a foul.
Now this is Magic.
Over Larry Bird, and the foul is on Bird. He missed the free throw. It's 12-6. With 9.5 minutes gone by or remaining in this first period, Larry Bird throws it right to Kareem. And here is Thompson, and it's intercepted by Thomas. Waits for his teammates, and now Kareem picks it off. The East is back on defense. Here's the Magic again. It's 2-on-1 with Malone and Erving.
Great defensive play by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
David Thompson. And the West comes within 4 of the East now. The set play, they worked on a few of the plays yesterday afternoon. I'm amazed at the instincts that they pass as well as they do, having only had one workout. Isaiah Thomas from the corner hits his second shot. He has 6 points in the game. 8:35 remaining in the first period. Dick Stockton and Bill Russell. Sit back and enjoy the best athletes perhaps in the world, the NBA All-Stars. Alex English, the leading scorer of the NBA, shows why. He's averaging nearly 30 points a game this year. Maurice Cheeks, smart playmaker, good defensive guard. Bird coming around a screen. Loops it to Malone. Watch Malone in here. See the second effort.
That was just a great pass that Larry Bird made to Moses Malone on that, and Moses, he naturally knows what to do when he gets it in there.
Thompson has the ball stripped away by Isaiah Thomas and Larry Bird. 2-on-1 again with Mo Cheeks. Back to Bird. Larry Bird, Rookie of the Year, 1980, led the Celtics to a championship the next year. Alex English. Kareem out of nowhere. Comes right back for 2. And it's an 18-12 game, the East leading. 7.5 minutes to go in the first. West trying to break a 3-game East winning streak in this All-Star game.
And we've seen some outstanding defensive plays early in the game.
Cheeks working against Thompson. He got a good step on Thompson. Blocking the shot is Alex English. It's a 4-on-2 break. Lucas gives it up to Irving Johnson. Lost control of the ball, and now the East comes back 2-on-1. Kareem, the only one back. And Kareem out to the top. Simple as that. Wilkes from the corner. End-to-end action again, 2-on-1. Kareem, the only one back. Feeding Isaiah Thomas. No basket. No basket. And it's going to be West-East ball. And we are seeing Kareem challenge 2 against 1. Isaiah
Kareem knows what to do with it when he's challenged, too.
Timeout. 6:48 remaining in the first period. Isaiah, the playmaker.
For you. U.S. Armed Forces. It's a great place to start. And by Ryder. Ryder leases trucks and Ryder rents trucks. Local and one-way for business or to move it yourself.
Dick Stockton and Bill Russell back at the Forum in Inglewood. The shooting percentages are out of sight, but we've seen some good defense, Bill.
I think we've seen some outstanding defense. For the West, Kareem has just been unbelievable. And that's the kind of stuff he gives to the Lakers. That's what makes him so valuable to them.
And also making the Lakers a valuable performer, end-to-end play by Magic Johnson. He can dish it off, he can thread the needle, or take it all the way as he did there. And it's an 18-14 game, so the West trailing by 4. East has been shooting over 60%, the West over 50. And we'll have a foul call against the West All-Stars. It's against Alex English from the Denver Nuggets, who's in his second All-Star game. Commissioner Larry O'Brien, Lawrence Weinberg, the chairman of the board, Sidney Moncrief has come in for the East All-Stars and George Gervin for the West. So the Iceman is in there. We can expect some prolific scoring and shooting from Gervin. Isaiah Thomas. Here's Moncrief, the do-it-all guard for Milwaukee. Bird, the best outside shooter on the Boston Celtics, and it's a 6-point East lead, and we're halfway through this opening period.
And I expected a good game, but I didn't expect it to be this good this early.
You think the politeness is worn off? Gervin.
Oh, yes.
There's a skyhook. Artis Gilmore told me the one thing he admires more than anything else on any player is the fact that Kareem can do the skyhook so efficiently. No one else does it well. He's tried it. Hasn't worked. Thomas with his 8th point of the game. Alex English. Off Bird's hand, so it's still West ball, and now we have 2 more substitutes coming in. On the right, Marcus Johnson of the Milwaukee Bucks, and Jamal Wilkes of the Los Angeles Lakers gets a hand. Julius Erving goes out. He scored 4 points, but what an acrobat he's been.
And I think we're seeing the good defense on the East squad. Because when the West squad gets inside, they're not getting a good shot off.
Give and go. Magic follow-up.
Just as I said that, they got layup.
Mayor Tom Bradley of Los Angeles. George Gervin picks it off. So there we're seeing West with the defensive play, trying to come within 2 points. And a steal the other way by Isaiah Thomas. He has Moncrief. Kareem back up. And it's Thomas. Good play.
Isaiah protected the ball with his body. Got up in the air and then did a good job of putting his body in where so Kareem couldn't go over his shoulder and get it.
He's got 10 points on 5 for 6 shooting. A far cry from his nervousness of last year. Isaiah Thomas. The Pistons fighting for a playoff berth in the Eastern Conference. That basket will count by Maurice Lucas. And the foul is on Larry Bird, his 2nd personal foul. So here's Lucas going to the line. He went from the Knicks for Truck Robinson to Phoenix. He's known as the enforcer and has made a tremendous difference on this Suns team.
Yes, he has given them something that they've never had. They've always gone with what you call a relatively small lineup, and he's given them bulk and strength and made them a physical team, and they're a much better team. And in fact, if the trades they've made lately work out, they will move into the upper echelon with the good teams.
Jack Sikma coming into the ball game, replacing Maurice Lucas, and Robert Parish of the Boston Celtics gives Moses Malone a rest. So both squads, both coaches using their players, at least in the first half. Almost a steal by Moncrief. Cunningham said of the East, going to use everyone in the first half, see which combinations and which players are playing better and use them in the second half of the game. And I think that both of these coaches will use their own players down the stretch.
Well, they can't lose a lot by doing that.
Gervin went up 5 points. George Gervin, the leading scorer in the league last year, won more scoring titles than anyone but Wilt Chamberlain in NBA this year. Larry Bird, long range. He's got 8 points, 3 assists, and 4 rebounds.
Not bad first quarter, not starting an all-star game.
Less than 4 minutes to go. Sikma turn around. Nice play. Sikma from Wilkes. And now they're down to only a 2-point lead, the East team. 3:45 to go in the first period. Last year's game was 2 points. Marcus Johnson going inside. Rebound. Milwaukee.
And Kareem made him miss that shot, the initial shot. He got the rebound, but the presence of Kareem and the way he's playing today made him miss that shot.
Several UCLA players. Kareem and Marcus Johnson, 2 of them. And a foul against the Eastern Stars. Foul was on Sidney Moncrief. Artis Gilmore has come in. Larry Bird goes out of the game. He's off to a terrific start with 8 points. Buck Williams replaces him, the fine power forward of the New Jersey Nets, and here is the Iceman on the line. MVP in 1980, Artis Gilmore went from the Chicago Bulls to San Antonio, and the Spurs have opened up a 4.5 game lead in the Midwest Division.
You know, with him going from Chicago to San Antonio, he's given San Antonio that they're back to having what they call that Bruise Brothers front line, that big, strong, tough front line, and they're tough. With George Gervin shooting outside, and he's a pretty effective player inside, so that he's really helped San Antonio.
Parish looking for help. over Artis Gilmore. I'll tell you, don't be surprised, because Robert Parish may be the best outside shooting big man in the game. The Chief, they call him, from the Boston Celtics, and the East is up by 4. Here's a steal. Moncrief trailing is Parish. And we'll have a foul first. Moncrief, Billy Cunningham, 3-0 in all-star coaching. Recently won his 300th game, faster than anyone in the history of the NBA. How's Larry Bird played so far? Pretty good, 8 points.
It's been, for me, an exciting game so far, because you know they're going to go back and forth. And it's just a question of which team is going to be able to dominate. At this point, they've gone back and forth so far. But I think that one thing that we should notice, that Kareem kept the West in the game the first quarter.
Pat Riley, first complete year as coach of the Lakers, coached them to the championship last year. Second all-star appearance, however. There's George Gervin out to Gus Williams, who's come in the game.
And said, look what I found.
And so did Gervin. Look what I found. A good pass from Gus. So let's check the lineups for you. Andrew Toney, 22, and Moncrief, 4 are the guards. Moncrief from Milwaukee, Toney from Philadelphia. Tremendous offensive player, clutch shooter. Moncrief does everything. Into Parish from the Celtics. Gilmore defending him, and there's Parish up top again. Boy, does he arc that jump shot.
And Artis Gilmore saying, how the heck is he making that?
7-point lead
defense
for the East team. Their biggest lead was 8. Winding down to 2 minutes remaining in the first period. Gus Williams from the Seattle Sonics scored 22 last year. Gilmore loses it out of bounds. So Moncrief, Toney, Buck Williams, Marcus Johnson, and Robert Parish. So we have 2 members of the Milwaukee Bucks in the lineup. Williams is on Toney. Gervin is on Moncrief. Sikma defending against Buck Williams, and a turnover. 2-on-2. Gus. Jamal Wilkes. And Parish knocks it out of bounds, so it's still going to be the West ball. Robert Parish from the Boston Celtics.
You know, I told him the other day, there's no way a guy that tall is supposed to shoot that well from that far out.
Buck Williams with a lead pass to Moncrief. Sikma back. Sidney Moncrief, the player that the Milwaukee Bucks depend on the most. He leads them in just about every category. Named to the all-defensive team. Biggest lead right now by the East team is 9. Gilmore, foul. Parish.
You know, if you have to dunk around here, these guys say you better hurry up and do it, because you take your time, block shot.
The East bench with Larry Bird, Mo Cheeks on the right, and Artis Gilmore on the line shooting 2. Personal foul was on Parish. Team fouls, 4 for the East, 3 for the West. So 1 more foul on the East squad, and they'll be in the penalty. Andrew Toney. Johnson looking for his teammate, out to Buck Williams. Buck Williams has emerged, maybe the prototype power forward of the game. Open is Andrew, and he's hot. Look at the pass to Buck Williams, who gets fouled going in. Andrew Toney, known for his scoring and his clutch shooting ability, with a fine feed inside to Buck Williams, who goes to the line.
That's what great all-star games bring out. Guys that you think of primarily as shooters, you find out they're pretty good defensive players, and they're good passers.
Buck
because
Williams.
the requirements are different.
Rookie of the year last year in the NBA. He's developed into outstanding power forward. Missed the second, but the East has possession with 46 seconds to go. Double teaming Andrew Toney. Buck Williams was wide open, passed it anyway. Turnaround by Marcus Johnson. Sikma outfights Buck Williams. They mean it.
And he can rebound too.
Pick off by Toney. Lead pass to Sidney Moncrief. Basket is good, and a foul
by Jack Sikma. As Sidney Moncrief said, take this large person.
Sidney Moncrief is only 6'4", but When he plays for the Milwaukee Bucks, he takes those guards inside. He is a tough inside player. He can leap. So he said all defensive team. And this year, Don Nelson said he's got the better outside shot he's seen.
Well, you know what? There are a few guys that come into the league and they get better because they work on their weaknesses. Now, as a guard, he was not a good outside shooter when he came to the league. And now he's a good one. Not a great one, but a good outside shooter. And those are the kind of things that professionals have to work at. You can't just say, well, I got a weakness here, and I'm not going to do anything about it.
Long range, Jamal Wilkes. Quietly, during the regular year, he'll score 20 points. 4 seconds to go in this first quarter. And it's Andrew hitting the shot. It's good at the buzzer. A 2-point shot. And we have seen terrific action. And at the end of the first period, here in the 33rd All-Star game, 42-31 the East. Their biggest lead. The other Milwaukee star, 1-2 punch. Didn't do as well last year because of a contract dispute, but he's picked up where he's left off. He leads in rebounds, assists, and scoring on the Milwaukee team.
You know, he doesn't get as much publicity as some of the other forwards, but if you talk to the players, they all tell you that this guy is impossible because he's a good outside shooter. He goes strong to the hoop. He's a good defensive player.
Dick Stockton and Bill Russell, who played in 12 All-Star games, and there was Tony to Buck Williams on a fine play, and there's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. A poignant story concerning Kareem's personal life. A fire destroyed his home the last couple of weeks, so we'll tell you more about it and what has transpired since then. Gus Williams misses outside. Look at him dive for the loose ball, and it's Buck Williams to Tony. 2-on-2. Tony, Buck Williams. That combination works.
I guess it works.
You know, Buck Williams is going to own that inside paint. And offensively, he shows something. 15-point lead as the East opening it up here. Iceman finds Gilmore. Gets 2 back. Leading scorers in the game, Isaiah Thomas 10 and Larry Bird 8 for the East squad. And for the West, Magic Johnson and George Gervin each with 6. Wide open was Marcus Johnson.
And Andrew Tony has shown some of his qualities as a passer.
It's not just Moses Malone and Julius Erving on that Philadelphia team. Going for the steal was Moncrief, but Gervin controlled. Picked up on a nice switch by Marcus Johnson, and Gervin short. Good defense by Marcus Johnson, and we'll have a jump ball.
You know, Andrew Tony seems to be a one-on-one player, but he's a better passer than most people think he is. But first of all, he's physically a very tough young man. He's faster than he looks, and he jumps higher. And so he can get his shots off because he's deceptive.
Jim Paxson, number 4, is into the game for the Portland Trail Blazers and the West squad. And for the East, Reggie Theus of the Chicago Bulls, number 24. Gilmore comes in and fouls Buck Williams. Andrew Tony, you're right, just made another fine pass.
And what happened was he went by Gus Williams, who is probably one of the, if not the fastest player in the league.
Tony has 3 assists as Gus of the Seattle Sonics. They started off 12-0 this year and have slumped and are in 4th place in the Pacific Division.
They had a few key injuries, and then, you know, what happened, they had a few key injuries, and then they started playing. All the teams have up and downs where things work and don't work, and they had the key injuries at just the wrong time for them because they're still a good basketball team.
16-point lead with 10.5 minutes remaining in this first half. Gus Williams to Jim Paxson. Gilmore has a shot blocked by Robert Parish, and it is still West ball, but Parish blocked Gilmore. 2 7-footers going up.
And what I was talking about earlier in the game about the defense, I think you'll find more good defensive players in the East squad than you will on the West squad. But I think you find more better. Better shut that up. But you find better shooters on the West squad, I believe.
It's a tough shot to stop, though, isn't it, Artist? I would think. I mean, you didn't even let anyone get in there when you played to get that close for that shot.
There were a couple that got in there.
That's it, too. Marcus Johnson going to the hoop. Good move. And the rebound, Sikpa. Here's Jamal Wilkes with Gus Williams. But the pass is not a good one. It's behind him. And Andrew Tony comes back for the East with Paxson in front. Jim Paxson, a good all-around player who can move without the ball, does a lot of things, and he can shoot.
You know, I played against his father in college and with his father on an all-star team.
He played in the 50s with Minneapolis and Cincinnati.
He's one of the few players. And here's another one, Kiki Vandeweghe, that's the father's son that played in the NBA.
Talk about a dad. What about Kiki Vandeweghe, who's going to be coming into the game in a moment? But we've been watching a lot of Andrew Toney, who's one of the prolific clutch scorers in the NBA.
And he does a lot of things for that Philadelphia team.
9:30 remaining in the first half. 14-point lead for the East, 49-35. Reggie Theus of the Chicago Bulls takes a long shot, a two-pointer, and the rebound is by Kiki Vandeweghe, whose dad played with the New York Knicks in the professional ranks.
And he passed to Jim Paxson, whose father played for the Minneapolis Lakers, which are now the Los Angeles Lakers.
The two players, his dads, played in professional basketball in the lineup together. 9:10 to go.
And the other one was Matt Guptas.
Right. Assistant coach for the East. The West has turned the ball over 11 times, and that's hurt their cause. Now the East for the 5th turnover. And coming into the game for the first time, Bill Laimbeer. Bill Laimbeer in his very first All-Star game 3 years ago was playing in Italy. Didn't think he could play professional basketball. A 3rd-round draft choice of Cleveland. His first full year with Detroit and a very tough banger inside. 3rd top rebounder in the NBA.
And he's another one of those guys that will let you know he's there, hit you a little bit, push you a little bit. But then these are some of the guys that make the Eastern Conference so physical.
Here's Kiki Vandeweghe. He originally was with Dallas and come to Denver and has become a part of the very tough front court of the Denver Nuggets. He is the 3rd leading scorer in the NBA, Kiki Vandeweghe. Played at UCLA, and now it's a 13-point East lead, 49-36. 8:45 remaining. Feed to Marcus Johnson from Toney. Chipped up. Look at the second effort by Marcus Johnson, playing like a man possessed, Bill.
He plays that way on a regular basis. And this is what I'm talking about when I say the other players, the other forwards especially, tell you what a tough guy he is, because he's a good offensive rebounder. He's a more than adequate defensive rebounder, but when he's in the front court, he's just dangerous everywhere.
Artis Gilmore has 2 personal fouls. Larry Bird on the East, who's on the bench, has 2. And Marcus Johnson with the free throw. East is up by 14 points, the biggest lead 16 as they open it up early. Crowd here at the Forum obviously rooting for the West. Kiki Vandeweghe looking to Artis Gilmore, who's played a lot so far in this game. And the foul on the pass, not in the act of shooting. And the foul is on Bill Laimbeer of the Detroit Pistons in the East squad.
That was a quarter of a ton of action there, Laimbeer and Gilmore.
Vandeweghe. Good move on Marcus Johnson. Sikma puts it in. Sikma's been out with an ankle injury, and that's one of the reasons, as you talked about, the injuries that have really set back the Seattle Sonics from their hot start. Paxson is on Theus. Andrew Toney guarded by Williams. It's a 12-point game. The East squad leading. They have a 21-11 series lead. Marcus Johnson misses the shot. Vandeweghe to Paxson. Williams ahead of the crowd. And it's going to count. Called the basket. Give it to Gus Williams, and Marcus Johnson called for the goaltend.
Now here's this play. Now Gus Williams is one of the greatest players in the open court. And here comes Marcus Johnson right there. But Gus is going to almost dunk it. Hate little guys do things like that.
Down to 10. Who was the best player in the open court you've ever seen?
Well, Gus may be one of them. I don't remember seeing anyone any better except maybe Julius.
Buck Williams, not an open court player, but tough inside, has his 8th point of the ball game, and a 12-point game again. Gus Williams using his teammate Sikma for a screen, and 2 hoops in a row for Gus. Andrew Toney, Williams looking for the steal, and Gus fouls it.
And those are some of the things that Andrew Toney does. He gives good fakes, and he's such a good shooter outside that you have to go up on him. And then he gives a good fake, and if you don't react, he'll shoot it. If you do react, he gives you the up and down. All
right, the West as Gus, Williams, Sikma, and Gilmore go out, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar comes back in for the West All-Stars. Julius Erving is back in for the East team. Here's Kareem. Into Laimbeer. And a long-range Andrew Toney. That's what you got to do. And you play him tight, he'll go around you. He's strong inside, too.
That's right. I mean, he has a great first step. And that's the key to driving with the ball, is that first step.
7 minutes to go in the first half. 54-42, the East All-Stars lead. There's a Magic Johnson pass to Tim Paxson. That's what I meant by threading the needle.
Not only that, it was a good pass, too.
Toney and Magic Johnson intercepts Paxson to Kiki Vandeweghe. And the West coming back, down by 8. This guy's making it happen. Erving Johnson. 2 championships in his 3 years in the NBA. 1 year he didn't win. He was hurt. He is way off the mark, an air ball, and the West has it again. And they want a timeout. The East wants to call time, and when we come back, Larry Bird will be coming in the game too. So they're going to try and fight the East rally with the great Boston Celtics star. But Gus Williams, as you mentioned, a great open court performer for the Seattle Sonics.
Now, Gus has done a lot of things for the Sonics, and this is just a couple of them. He knows when to zing the ball and when to throw it like a good quarterback. He's a great passer.
6 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. All-round game as usual for Erving Magic Johnson. Parish Wilkes turn around over Larry Bird, and the East lead is sliced to 6 now as we're nearly halfway through the second period. Erving shot is blocked, and Lambeer comes in with the play. Lucas, I believe, got a piece of Erving's shot, and Lambeer following up nicely. In his first All-Star game representing the Detroit Pistons, Paxson from Portland Trail Blazers working on Andrew Toney uses Lucas as a screen. Good kick by Lucas.
And a great 360.
Maurice Lucas, the enforcer, setting a screen out there. He's watching Larry Bird. He'll be banging a little bit. Lambeer, who can set some screens, does it for Reggie Theus. Bird, Theus. Lucas with the block, and here comes the West 3-on-2. Magic Johnson. And he couldn't get it inside, but they maintain the ball.
I think he got a good fake defensively on that play because he was trying to set up the pass, and the defensive guy did a stunt there.
Isaiah Thomas is coming back. How's the game? Does the game change at all in the pace, trend, what have you?
Well, as these guys get used to each other offensively and relax a little more, they start to do things to help each other out.
Bad pass by Paxson, and Larry Bird will get an easy play.
Doesn't need much help on that. But again, a good defense causes a lot of those bad passes. And another steal.
West is getting careless. They came within 6, down by 8, could be 10. With 5 minutes remaining in the first half. 13 turnovers by the West All-Stars, and it is a 10-point game as Isaiah Thomas drives inside. Isaiah with 12 points is the high scorer in the ball game. He has missed just 1 shot in 7 tries.
You know, I was talking to Isaiah, and he says, I keep saying I got a lot to learn. I got so much to learn. I says, Isaiah, you can do a little teaching.
So can this man. That's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's son, Sasha. They're going to jump it. It'll be Thomas and Vandeweghe, and coming into the game for the Western All-Stars will be Alex English on the left from the Denver Nuggets, and David Thompson, who used to play for Denver, now with Seattle. Thompson will come in. The knee is acting up again for David.
And that's one of the things you don't know whether arrested or exercising.
Lambeer keeps it for the East. Thomas with a good step on Thompson. Julius Erving. Kiki Vandeweghe clogs him. Lucas on Bird. Theus fighting terrifically for the loose ball, and it's off the hands of Erving.
And great pass. That's 2 great passes.
Let's not forget Reggie Theus at this end, because he hustled terrifically,
yes,
even though they didn't get the bucket.
And that was a great pass that he made. And there was also a good outlet pass by Kareem to look up court.
60-54, the East up by 6 now. 3:50 to go in the first half. Bird has Lambeer as a screen, coming off it. Theus, Magic on Theus. Bird in the crowd throws it away. Vandeweghe and Julius Erving banging each other coming in. Let's watch Theus at the other end of the court moments ago, the great Chicago Bull guard.
Right now, he hustles here to get the ball. There he steals there. Now watch the pass that he makes. He controls it left-handed. And then this is that pass by Kareem. Money in the bank.
Julius Erving committed the foul. The West has the ball with 3.5 minutes remaining. Each team with 3 team fouls. Lane Beer, look at the pass. Kareem to David Thompson. That's the kind of offense he provides, and he doesn't always have to score to provide it. 60-56. They're within 4 now, closest they've been since early in the game. They were down by 16. Lane Beer having trouble. And the West can come within 2. Thompson, English. And the combination of Lucas, Alex English, Magic Johnson, and Kareem have been the key to the comeback here. 2:51 showing on the clock. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. When we come back, we'll tell you the story of the tough 2 weeks he's had, starting in his 5th All-Star game in a row. Wednesday night, he passed the 29,000 career point mark, second only Wilt Chamberlain. But a station here in Los Angeles changed its music format and gave him the entire jazz library. He says, I am amazed at what people have responded and how they've responded to my tragedy, so to speak. And he has gotten a kind of new respect for a lot of people. He's always been portrayed as a villain in a lot of respects before this, and I think he's seeing how things have changed, Phil. Here's Magic. English.
Yes, when you have adversity, a lot of times you find out how much people really like you, because he's one of the nicest people I've ever met anywhere. You know, and he's a little reserved, but when you're that tall, seriously, people say so many strange things to you during a lifetime, you get to be a little reserved.
Turquoise Erving, her husband, just came up with one of his patented shots. Here is another.
And a good steal by Isaiah Thomas. He's an outstanding defensive player.
Less than 2 minutes to go in the first half. And Alex English has picked up 8 points in a hurry here. It is 64-62. The East leading by 2. The West down by 16 at one point in this first half. Have come back. Moses Malone with his version of the sky hook. We don't often see him try that.
Well, Kareem will bring out the best in everybody.
64-62. Kareem looking for someone to cut off of him. Bird double teaming, and it might have worked. Watch Julius Erving on the open court. You talked about it before.
Now here he comes in. Their imagination and creativity.
Dexterity by Julius. That shot by Lucas off the side of the backboard. Isaiah Thomas with Julius and Malone trailing. And they'll call a foul on David Thompson, and Moses Malone will go to the line and shoot. Malone, the MVP in the NBA last year, acquired from the Houston Rockets by the Sixers for Caldwell Jones. He's looking for his 3rd straight NBA rebounding title. He's 6th in the league in scoring. Philadelphia is 43-7, could have their best record of all time. Malone, a big part of it. And he works so hard that everyone else on that Philadelphia club has to work just as hard, because no one wants to do any less than this guy with all his millions.
You know, you hear that a lot of times people think that if you pay a guy a lot of money, it takes away his incentive. Well, you got a group of guys out here today that makes that just completely untrue.
1:10 to go in the first half. A lot coming up for you at halftime. Alex English and Bird the rebound. Trying to make it a 5-point lead. Isaiah Thomas playing a fine first half. Bird gets the offensive rebound, and 2 players on the same team fight for the loose ball, and it's East possession. Thomas with 12, Bird 10. The top scorers for the East squad. No one is in double figures for the West. Alex English and David Thompson each have 8 points. 51 seconds to go, and Bird. Boy, that sound going through the chords. Beautiful, huh? 7 rebounds for Larry Bird. And the East makes it a 7-point lead. Malone.
I think Julius knows how to get a good shot for the big fella.
7-point lead. English comes back with 2. 25 seconds. 69-64. No harm, no foul, I guess you call it. They're going to play for the last shot. 15 seconds to go.
And Maurice Cheeks doesn't talk enough to complain to the referee. He never says anything.
Cheeks driving. Erving and Kareem. Look at these two great players in an all-star game fighting for a loose ball with 3 seconds to go, out of bounds. They'll give it to the East with 3 seconds to go.
You know, there are a lot of guys. Here's that shot when Juice made the pass to Moses.
Well, that's one of the good advantages of having 4 players, as the Sixers do, on their team. The last time we had 4 players on the same squad, the Celtics, in 1975. Paul Silas, John Havlicek, JoJo White, and Dave Cowan. At the half, we'll take you live into both dressing rooms. And to see what the coaches have to say to their players, we'll look at the headlines from the first half of the season. And Men's World Speed Skating Championship. Brent Musburger will be with us as well from New York. So you'll hear briefly what the way it shapes up now. Washington, New York, Detroit, and Atlanta fighting for 2 playoff berths. That would have gone. Everyone would have just stopped in their tracks. Larry Bird misses. The East went out to an early 10-2 lead, led by as many as 16. The West battled back to tie it at 60, but the East rallied and have taken a 69-64 lead at halftime here at the 33rd All-Star Game in Inglewood, California.